thank you for tuning in to the Real Estate Jam session. I love a good story. And I've got a guest today, Sydney Phillips. Sydney is the founder and CEO of a commercial real estate company. She is an investor, developer, race car driver, I understand. What kind
Yes.
of cars?
I do Formula Mazdas and Spec Racer Fords.
Wow,
hmm
you're my new idol. Um, and so you've got a lot to learn about. Has great success at a very young age. Sydney Phillips. Sydney, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to get into it.
I don't even honestly know where to start with you. I mean, I guess let's start with your story. And I think if you don't mind, we're gonna have you come back on down the road
Yeah.
because I really want to pick your brain as somebody at your age, your energy level. It's special, and I like people to see somebody that has all this energy, but yet all this focus. Because typically, if you've got all that energy, you're over here, you're over there, you're bringing in, and you're having success with everything you're doing. So,
Thank you.
Cindy, can you kind of walk us through your life story? Because I heard that first, and then that's what brought me onto it. So
Yeah.
tell us your story.
I was 14 years old when I had the biggest life turn of events. My dad passed away really, really suddenly. We had a family business with one commercial real estate property. It was a quick trip. And overnight, I found myself having to dive into the family business, which you can only teach a 12-year-old so much about accounting. And at 14, I was skipping school. I would choose certain classes. So I would stay in math and science, and I'd skip history because I thought it's in a book. It already happened. I can always go back and reread it. So I was skipping class, and I obviously couldn't drive. I was 14 years old and walking to Barnes and Noble to be able to read real estate books. I found myself, having to learn the ins and outs of a family business while most of my peers were worried about who was asking them to homecoming. My reality was very, very different. And yeah, I grew that business through all of high school, all of college as well. And I've started a conglomerate of other companies within there. At first it was just an investment holding company. We now do investments and developments in office, retail, multifamily, hotel, and industrial.
Over how many year span was that?
7. I'm 22 at the moment. So yeah, 7, 8 years. We've grown exponentially. We buy new property every year. It's just a family ran company. I don't take other people's money because I don't like other people telling me what to do. Shocker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
An entrepreneur, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Entrepreneurs hate being told what to do. So kind of walk us through. Okay, so where were you when you started this at this age?
I was in Kansas City.
What city?
Yeah, I was in Kansas City. That's where, most of our family connections are. We've spanned out. Now I live in Austin, Texas. So that's been interesting to kind of dive into that market, especially as Texas is getting all the Californians y'all are coming over. But yeah, mostly in KC. And I'm here now working on the development deal and a couple other deals on hand.
Okay, when you took over at that young age, obviously you had to have a mentor of some kind, right?
Oh, many.
Other than Barnes and Noble, but yeah, how did that play out?
Many. My grandfather is still involved in the family business with me. He is nearing 80, so he's reaching the end of his road in terms of being in charge of the companies. And I started to take over at a very, very young age. So family businesses are quite complex. I always say every family business is ran very, very differently. We have friends in the industry that, their kids don't know anything about it. And meanwhile, I'm like, I shook my 3rd grade teacher's hand every time I left school. Like it is a very different reality for me growing up in that environment with a bunch of entrepreneurs. Yeah.
Well, for them to give you the reins at such a young age, I mean, obviously you grew up in the business.
Yeah.
It had to be. Is that okay? So you started doing development.
Yep.
How does somebody? I mean, obviously you've got something you're really focused on, but how does somebody new say, I want to be just like that? How do they go in it? How does a young person get started like that? And
Yeah, I think for me, something that I wish I would have known earlier is to find other people that want you to win as well. In this industry, a lot of it is relationship based. But there are a lot of people that will screw you over. And especially being as young and naive as I was coming into it, I definitely got screwed over a bit. It'll harden you. It'll make you, you have to earn my trust now. It's not given. But I think finding those people that want you to win as bad as you want to win, and you want them to win as bad as you want to win as well. Right? It's reciprocated. I'm really happy to say I've found that. I found this really tight knit group of founders, owners, commercial real estate people, people in the tech industry. Just I have an army behind me of women, LGBTQ, minorities, just people that want to see me succeed, and I want the same for them. And that has been the game changer. So I think finding the right people and then digging into it, right? It's about getting dirty. You can't sit around and go, oh, I hope I find a mentor that, wants to go to all of these places that no one else has ever been before. And I want to be the first, and I expect someone to show me the road. A lot of it is being comfortable with, getting dirty. How bad do you want it? Are you going to be in Barnes and Noble till 3 a.m. studying for it? Are you going to be, how hard are you going to work for it? I think a lot of it comes to getting dirty. A lot of people look to, their mentors or people in their circles to tell them what to do. Which that's always the first sign of, retreat, right? Is asking other people for their advice. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How long, let's talk, you really touch on a point that is, it's harder in a lot of the younger generation. I hear a lot of people say, walk us through your sacrifices. Obviously we know about losing your father, and that had to be devastating at that age.
Yeah.
How did you overcome that? How did you overcome, at that age, to have this kind of negativity and responsibility, and a lot of people would have just curled up in bed and said, and obviously, that's it. I'm not doing anything more. And you went the complete opposite direction.
I don't know why. I truly don't. When I look back on all the things that happened, and my mother, she was in on alcohol as well, and was never really a part of it as well. So it was truly my dad and my grandparents. So when my dad passed, it was just, me and my 7-year-old grandparents. It was quite an ordeal. I will never know why I switched the other way. I think a lot of it had to do with duty, right? If your dad had built this company and worked so hard to be able to buy that first store, there's a legacy to that. And to me, it was almost like, all right, if he's going to cut it short and pass away in 40s, maybe I only have until I'm 40. So I might as well milk the crap out of what I have right now. And that was really the mindset. It was maybe I will only have till 42. What if I don't start living until I'm 22 with a degree, start building companies, I'm never going to get to my number of 1 billion people impacted by my designs and my inventions.
That's your goal, is 1 billion people?
Billion people. Yep.
Yeah, I thought you're saying, what is it? On a mission to push humanity forward and live interestingly. I think you've done all of that at 22 years old already.
Thank you.
It is the true entrepreneur spirit that you have is, and a barrier is put in front of me. Do I go around it or through it? And it sounds like you've done probably both.
Yeah.
So now, all right, so you started off in real estate.
Yep.
And then you ventured off into development and technology, correct?
Development, technology, and the finance world. So I'll go in order. In 2019, I was a sophomore in college, went to New York to go work for a big Fortune 500 financial planning company. Was miserable. I would finish my work in 45 minutes, and then the rest of the day I would build companies. I built 4 companies in one summer. And I would go to these pitch events and pitch to all of these angel investors and, accelerators, all of the jazz. And I thought, even if this idea isn't the best idea, I'm getting great experience because I'm learning how to talk about myself and my product in front of all these strangers. This is good experience. I learned very quickly that the 19-year-old woman was overlooked compared to the 45-year-old men that were pitching at the same league.
Yeah.
regardless of the fact that I was a serial entrepreneur and had very early success in my companies. And so essentially I just got sick of the room being only guys, and I started my own micro VC fund where I fund only women, LGBTQ and minority founders through a company called Daring Greatly. We've since closed our round. We had a 3-year investment period. We've closed, waiting on my money like everybody else, right?
Yeah.
Which in this market, I don't know if I'll get it back, but yeah, that was an incredible opportunity that kind of segued me away from real estate and into tech, because I got to see all of these founders of AI companies, drones, autonomous cars, and augmented and virtual reality, which is probably the most my favorite. I live most of my day is spent in virtual reality now. So yeah, I mean, that really segued me into it. And then in January of 2020, which was probably the worst ideal timing, I started our development of hotel, office, industrial, multifamily, and retail. It's a massive outdoor shopping center. We finished industrial, and I think now we're making way on the hotel, which is why I'm in Kansas City at the moment, finishing that up.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to picture the banker when you come walking in at 22 years old, say, listen, I'm going to develop this, and you're trying to raise money. How did that go? I mean,
Yeah.
what did the banker say to you? I mean, or okay, I should ask first. I was assuming you used a banker, but how did you raise the money for that? Is it through private investments, or was it banking? How did you do it? Through a banker?
For the development specifically, it's primarily done through partnerships. So, you know, I have great partners that are local to KC that have built previous stores that we've owned, things like that. So they've primarily been through partnerships. But we don't really do large investment. You know, I'm not taking 100 people's money kind of thing.
Okay.
I don't deal with someone emailing me, where's my money, after a year. I don't handle that very well. So yeah, I mean, but on the commercial real estate investment and holding side, all of that is family owned. And there's no outside investors. Yeah.
All right, that's good. That's very powerful. You're able to maintain that kind of control. Let's talk about the tech company that you're running now. You founded a company, very interesting. I took a look at it. Could you kind of walk us through and then what your plan is with that company?
Absolutely. It's called Zook AR. We're on the App Store. We've launched and everything. We're live, as I like to say. It took us a year to build our technology. Essentially, it's augmented reality software for all things commercial real estate development, architects, engineering, and construction. If you have an architectural blueprint, or you have a land site that you want to go develop on, you can give me that blueprint or a Revit model from your architect, and I can turn it into an augmented reality experience of real estate that you can view virtually, you can scale true to size, and walk inside of a building that doesn't exist yet. This helps architects in terms of designing. This helps the commercial real estate developer in getting approvals. Depending on your city, sometimes getting those first approvals and the zoning is one of the hardest parts. And getting it zoned the way you want it, where it's actually going to make you the money that you want. Very, very difficult. I learned that in this project. And be able to sell it. I mean, ultimately, it all comes down to, how fast can I sell this? How fast can I get this project done and move on to the next? So we've been building for the past year. We are now to market, and everything is amazing, to be honest. I mean, I think Facebook changing to Meta and announcing that they will be the new metaverse really helped us. When I first started this company and I was talking about the metaverse, everyone thought that I was insane. And they said that that would happen in 2030. And then now it's, 2021 and it's happening. And I've gotten a lot of calls since then of, you were right. Sorry. How can we hop on? Which is funny to say the least.
Times are changing fast, it seems. It just seems like the more we get into it, times change even faster. And I can see exactly where the product that you have, your company, I was looking at some plans, a restaurant, and they have, similar to what you have, and they just put the restaurant in the system, and you can go walk through the whole restaurant. And
Yep.
I mean, they've really got a system where, and every year they're building it to where every year they don't actually have to move walls. They can just change everything by the technology they're putting in place. It's amazing where we're going with this, right?
Yes.
And
Mhm.
it's fun to see. It's a little scary for me actually. I can barely use my damn iPhone properly, but and as you can see, I'm having a hell of a time with the mic today. But I think it's time for commercial real estate to make these steps forward. Residential has done it years ago, so
Yeah.
it's really, I think it's a positive step for our industry.
Yeah, I won't go too into the tech, but in terms of gamification, it's not going to just happen in commercial real estate. It's already happening
Oh
in,
yeah,
financial industries. You look at Goldman Sachs, who were their next 10,000 hires during COVID? They were software engineers, not financial analysts. And I think that that says a lot about, I consider finance to be an equally proportional old boy traditional kind of industry as equivalent with real estate, right? Finance and real estate
sure,
both move at
yeah,
the same pace. If finance is hiring 10,000 workers and laying off financial analysts to be able to do their jobs, I got news for you. A bot's going to be doing your job. And unless you learn how to work with the technology, you will be replaced. Which is partially why my team works full time in virtual reality. We have conferences, um, any team meeting that we have, we put on our goggles and we'll meet on Mars,
right.
and have our meetings there. And to be honest, we have the best team of collaborators and inventors because you're attracting people of a certain caliber, and of a certain
Sure.
intelligence when you offer technology.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to see it happening. I'm glad to see you're leading kind of the charge in these industries. It's great to see youth getting involved. Um, can you give us some advice for a young woman that wants to kind of follow your path? Give me your top two or three tips.
Yeah, I would say the first is learning which opportunities to chase. I am not a linear path kind of person, right? I went commercial real estate, finance, now I'm in tech. It looks linear to me because it follows this mission of pushing humanity forward and impacting a billion people. Um, on the outside, I look like I jump industries every 2 years. Um, Finding out which opportunities appeal to your mission, and the big picture of what you're supposed to do, step one. Because if you waste 2 years in a job that doesn't impact to that, you're wasting time. And we're not really promised time. We don't know how much we have. That would be step one. I think number two would be not obsessing over mentors, but finding friends. I always say, I don't have any mentors, but I have a lot of friends in the industry. In part because I'm not going anywhere that somebody else has gone before. I'm not interested in that. But I have lots of people that support me and we can call on each other and use networks and whatever else. And that has made life exceptionally easier. Probably the third would be, it sounds cheesy, but finding out what that core mission is, right? I mean, it took me a
Yeah.
while to figure out I want to impact a billion people. And when I first said it, I didn't really believe myself either. I thought, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
a billion, really, Sydney, let's just be happy with 100 million. And as I started going and I started building more companies, by the time I hit Daring Greatly, I thought, I might hit this. And now I fully believe it. So I kind of set it as a big number that I'll never achieve. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, this actually might happen, which is crazy. So finding that big core mission that you can focus all of your energy towards, and whatever company has to be focused in that core mission and core value.
Very good. Now I have to ask this whole car racing thing. How did that happen? You had 15 minutes off on a Sunday. You think, you know what, I'm gonna go race a car. How
This
did it
was
get started?
something that I grew up in. I grew up between boardrooms and racetracks. So
Nice.
my grandfather races Formula Atlantics and Mazdas. My dad raced in stock cars and did some of the exotics. And then I was always in go-karts as a kid. So growing up, I mean, I lived every weekend at a track. which was insane. So I went up from go-karts to spec racer Fords. Now I'm in Formula Mazdas. I still do a little bit of spec racer Fords. And I love the exotics, obviously. I mean, who doesn't like driving a Ferrari around a track? But yeah, I mean,
I would be afraid and wreck the damn thing.
Really?
Be a nice big check. No.
Oh no.
I'll be like, okay.
It is so thrilling. I don't know if you've ever seen Ford versus Ferrari, but what he says about, you know, past 7 RPM, everything moves so slow at a certain speed that you actually think more clear in the chaos. It's insane. Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I do motorcycles, and so
Nice.
I'll go out on the track on motorcycles, so I can feel you. It's
Yep.
amazing. Probably the only time I was really scared was when I was getting off the track after just a run. I've been, I don't know, 140, 150 around the track. Then I come in and it's only like 8 feet wide, and all of a sudden the grass is tall on both sides, and you start seeing how fast that's going by you. That's when you're like, holy shit, I have to
Yes.
slow down. But when
Yep.
you're out on the track, yeah, you just don't. It's everything is like it's in slow motion, and you know, you think about it that night. You know, you're inches away from somebody at those speeds, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't kick in. But
Oh, I've had my fair share of spin outs and, you know, cars,
oh yeah,
wall slides where the whole car is damaged on the right side. Oh yeah, I've had my fair share of destroying the cars that I love so much. But
oh
it's
yeah,
definitely taught me a lot. You know, I think racing is a hobby for me. I've never, you know, gone out to try to make money or be professional at it. But in terms of, you know, life lessons, I think it has so many to offer. And one of my family's favorites is, you know, you can't make first if you're looking in the rear view mirror.
yeah.
And that's always stuck with me as well. So racing is a love of mine, and I don't know if I'll ever give it up. Mm-hmm.
It's an addiction once you get. I don't actually race. I just got to the track, but you know, there's other people out there, and you get to open up. And you know, being in Los Angeles, you can split lanes, and that's worse. You know,
Yeah.
because you don't know what somebody else is going to do. But I do love it. Well, Sydney, thank you. I know we've run kind of long. I know you're very busy, so I apologize, but it's such a great story. I would like to have you come back, and I want to really get into AR, and you know, let's really or you know, all the technology side of it actually,
Mm-hmm.
and see where you're going with it. I think a lot of younger people can really learn from what you're doing, and so I hope you'll take the time to come back. And thank you for coming on today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
You bet. I look forward to doing it again. And for those of you watching today, I'm going to put Sydney's contact information down below if you want to reach out directly to her, or if you want to reach out to me, I'll put you in contact. And if you haven't done so, for Christ's sake, it's time you subscribe and make sure you at least like this video. So, all right, thank you, and let's do it again soon.
Perfect.